public bodies to meet in a fully remote manner. I will call the meeting to order and have people roll call the vote for commissioners. Sarah Monaco,
Here.
okay, Tim Hollander,
Here.
Zega,
Here.
and I'm here. So we have a quorum. We will most likely have another commissioner joining us a little bit later. Excuse me. And so before we open up, I'll just open up to if there anyone who has a public comment for that is not related to items on tonight's agenda. Is there anyone there who would like to bring something up to our attention? Hearing none, we will proceed with this evening's hearing. So first up is the Old Farm Water Trust Notice of Intent 1440940. So it looks like we made a fair amount of headway over the week. And Janet, why don't you bring us up to date?
Sure. So this is a continued public hearing, DEP number 1440940. It's a proposal to replace an existing water main owned by the Old Farm Water Trust. Their current water well in that area has become contaminated with PFAS, and they have reached an agreement with Aquarian Water Company to replace and extend a water main. And that would consist of cutting out a section of a 12-inch concrete culvert pipe, installing the water main 1 foot below the culvert pipe, backfilling and compacting the water main and culvert pipe bedding, and replacing the section of the culvert pipe with a new pipe having the same effective diameter. The only issues that continued from the last public hearing on February 25th was some language to be included as a special condition in the permit regarding liability in 2 different scenarios. The first was liability that would be taken on by the Old Farm Road Water Trust should there be any damage to the town-owned culvert during installation of the new water main. The second scenario would be with regarding liability to the new owner of the water main after the work. The new owner will be Aquarian Water Company, and at some point this culvert will be replaced. It is in deteriorating condition, and the town just wants to ensure that when a new culvert is installed by the town, should the new water main need to be relocated or moved, that the owner Aquarian would be responsible for all costs. After the last meeting, John.
Can you move a little closer to the mic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. After the last meeting, John and myself met with Steve Olson and Chris and a couple other representatives of the applicant. We met on March 4th to discuss the legal agreements. After that meeting, Chris circulated an email proposing. The email was dated March 4th, and that was sent to all commissioners. It's also included in my regulatory review report. He is proposing 2 special conditions that address the legal liabilities that were discussed. So I recommend that both of those proposed special conditions be reviewed. And then if the commission is ready to vote, there are 3 waiver requests. One is work in the 50-foot no disturb setback. The second waiver is a structure within the 70-foot no structure setback. And they've also requested to waive the waiver fees. So at this point, all documentation and NOI materials have been received. Again, the only outstanding condition are reviewing the 2 legal agreements to be included in the permit.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions concerning the two additional special conditions that the applicants had offered regarding the culvert and the water line responsibilities. Okay. Um, let's see, on the part of the applicants, any questions? Okay.
No.
And so Janet, on this, as far as what I'm seeing here is then, do you have any concerns about any of the wording that Chris Bernie had come up with?
I do not. I think it addresses the town's concerns
Mhm.
and also once they move along and are ready for construction, they will need a street opening permit from DPW and also approval by the Board of Selectmen, who I'm sure will also want to see these two memo of understandings. So there will be a second review of these.
Mhm.
But I think by simply inserting these as a special condition, I think we've covered the town's interests in terms of liability.
Mhm. Mhm. Um, well, certainly, I think in terms of our responsibility for reviewing this, and we obviously engage with the town on this discussion. Um, so, with that, is there any, I don't know who's talking in the background there. Um, uh, Jenna, is there any other concerns before we move to close the hearing?
No, and then, so just a reminder, before you close the hearing, I would take a vote on the three waiver requests. I recommend approval. There are no alternatives to where the disturbance and alteration will take place. So I recommend approval of all three waivers.
Okay. Do we do the waivers prior to closing the meeting, closing the hearing?
No, I think we have to close the hearing first.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. So I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Zaga,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
and I'm an aye. Okay, entertain a motion to grant the three requested waivers.
We get to it. I want to use the right language.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Too many things open.
I know that feeling. Do you find it yet?
Yep, I think
Okay.
so. We just scroll down.
Was it, were the three additional waivers, was that sent to us?
Yeah, no, it's on page 4, Janet's
Oh,
regulatory
okay,
report.
sorry.
It's a waiver requesting the ability to allow disturbance within the 50-foot no disturbance setback.
Okay.
Also a waiver request to allow a structure within the 70-foot no structure setback, and a waiver to request to waive the waiver fees. And due to the emergency nature of this, that's as Janet had mentioned, that seems a responsible thing to do as well. So I don't know if anybody would like to so move.
Sure. The move to approve the requested waivers to allow disturbance within the 50-foot no disturb setback and to allow structures within the 70-foot no structure setback, since the applicant has demonstrated that all proposed work is located within previously disturbed areas and no other practical alternatives exist due to the existing site conditions. In addition, I move to waive the waiver fees.
I second
Okay.
that.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Zega?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
And myself, I'm an aye.
Okay. move to issue an order of conditions approving the project with the 19 conditions, special conditions outlined in the agent's report.
And
And
do those-
this is Janet. I'm sorry. So we
Yeah.
are now up to 20 conditions since we
Oh,
just accepted the addition.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
20 conditions.
Thank you.
Okey doke.
I second that.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Zager?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
And myself, M and I.
Why can't they all be
Okay.
this simple?
So before we close out, I just wanted to, just to wrap things up, Chris, could you help me out a bit? Are you there?
Yeah, yes, I am. Sorry, I can't be on camera tonight. I'm traveling.
Oh, no worries. There seemed to have been a couple meetings ago, there was some confusion over a Sullivan that was involved with your water company. I went to the registry, well, not went, but I went, remotely and so forth. Ascertained that it was Greg Sullivan made an agreement with the water company in 1992 regarding a mortgage and an option to purchase. I just want to clarify, did you have a chance to review that and see that I am not in any way involved with that?
Word is about your connection
I'm
to
s-
Greg Sullivan or lack of.
Oh,
connection.
sorry, you were blanked out for a little bit. If you'd
Oh, I'm
start
sorry.
over, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, now yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, we did follow the chain of title throughout from the origination of the Old Farm Road Water Trust and see that Greg Sullivan provided the resources for us to get going. We don't know if there was a connection at all to yourself, and it frankly doesn't matter at this point, but I appreciate you confirming that there sounds like there is no connection.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, I just wanted to, so as far as you know from that review, you have not run across my name in conjunction with any of this?
No, only in connection with your, you were a beneficiary of the trust at one point in time when you built the house across the street from mine
Mhm.
before you sold it to the Berubis. So
Mhm.
there was I think a couple year period you were a beneficiary of the trust, but that was about 2004 or so timeframe.
Right. And a beneficiary of the trust is no different than your current position or any other people who get water from that trust?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so just to clarify to commissioners and for public record, so I built the house across the street from Chris 20 years ago. And in buying the land, I became a member of the water company as a beneficiary there. And that was my only, and then that was turned over to the person who bought the house. So that was my only interaction with the water trust, and has been no interaction with that water trust since then. Since things got a little heated at that second 2 meetings ago, I just wanted to get that on the record and confirmed. Thank you. Okay, so given all that, we're finally set to move forward on that. So Deb will be drawing this up. Should be available sometime next week for you to pick up and then record it and get back to us with proof of recording, and then coordinate with Janet in terms of your progress towards other town approvals and your potential start date. Congratulations. Any questions for Stephen or Chris?
None for me, Steve.
No
No?
questions.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Great.
And,
Thank you
good
all
luck.
for your efforts with all this. I know it was not a run-of-the-mill approval that this committee sees. So thank you for the time to make sure that we are doing everything we need to do to protect the town.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, next up, we have, and I don't see him on here. He's not due on until 8 o'clock, which is Will Mitchell, 31 Springdale Avenue. So in the intervening time, why don't we move on and we'll come back when he comes on. Also, Janet, was Paul McManus going to be on this evening as well?
Yes, he was planning to join us at 8. We
Okay.
did ask Will Mitchell to confirm that he would attend. We sent him 2 emails, and neither Deborah nor I have heard back from him. So I'm not sure he'll be here, but we'll find out.
Okay, see, he called me. We discussed it a little bit, but I believe he confirmed that he's going to be on this evening. So
Okay.
we'll come back to that. I think we went through the Old Farm Water Trust relatively quickly, so that was appreciated. Okay, so why don't we move to a land management work group update? Anna?
Sure, and
Oh, and
Anna
no Anna?
Anna couldn't be here tonight, but the only update is that at the last meeting, it was the sense of the commission to get 3 quotes for our conservation land use framework proposal that Rick Nagy proposed at the last meeting. I did reach out the next day, sent a copy of the proposal to 3 different firms, which included Bill Geisentimer's firm, also Land Stewardship Incorporated, Ecosystem Solution Incorporated, and then a 4th, LEC, Environmental Consultants.
Oh,
The only response we got was from Bill's firm, and that was forwarded to everyone on March 6th. And then yesterday we received a draft contract agreement from Bill, and that was sent out yesterday. So maybe we could take a little time to review those, see if people have any questions about the proposal. No, Greg, who's on the working group, had a question about do we want more detail in terms of how we're going to reach out to other stakeholders, including DLCT, trustees, other volunteers or abutters. And that was in the overall project approach. My sense was that Bill is very flexible. He'll reach out to any stakeholders we feel are, should be included in the plan. So that was just my comment. And again, what he is proposing, the scope of services, I looked at that pretty closely. That seemed to address that. The budget and timeline seem to address the project proposal that the commission had reviewed at the last meeting. But I don't know if any other commissioners had any comments or concerns. And again, the scope of services is something as we move along and we get regular check-ins and reports from Bill, we can always readjust as well.
Did everyone have a chance to review the contract by any chance?
Yep.
Okay. I know that I did not. I'm going through it fairly quickly, and it's fairly short. So, and Jen, are you looking for a vote for this evening?
That would be preferable to vote on his proposal and scope of work, if not the contract. I think Bill he would have a comfort level if he knew this was approved, pending the contract agreement signature. This is the same agreement that we used.
I don't know if you turn your head or what it is, but sometimes you're very loud and clear, and other times it moves away.
Okay.
So we missed the last half of that.
So the contract agreement that he's proposed is the same agreement, basically the same format and wording that we used for Springdale Meadow.
Mm-hmm. And was it weighted the same way with a large portion of it on the inventory and analysis prior to dealing with stewardship and goals?
So the Springdale Meadow was a completely different project, but I'm just saying the the content of the contract agreement, the terms and all of that is similar. The scope of work is very different.
Mm-hmm.
And that was reviewed at the last meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I've had a chance to review it, and it follows as it has, in the past. Just a quick question, Janet. What's the statutory constraints we have in terms of when something goes out for bid? How long is it supposed to be out to bid for before we make a decision?
So I did put that in one of my emails on this. So under Chapter 30B, the state procurement law, if you are contracting for services or goods under 50,000, but
Mhm.
over 10, you have to solicit 3 quotes. You don't need to you only have to receive at least 1 responsive quote from a qualified individual.
And
And
then the
there's no time frame or anything. It's anything under 50,000. Again, the best practice is I'd say kind of informal. Again, you have to
Mhm.
solicit 3 quotes.
Mhm.
Everyone was given, was it 11 days? I sent this out
Okay.
on the 26th.
Okay, that's what I want to know. So
13 days.
interesting enough, so of the other folks who received this, there was no not even a phone call or anything?
No.
Mhm. Okay. And we have a working relationship with Bill regardless. So commissioners is everyone feel comfortable to vote on this evening?
Sure.
Okay. Then I will entertain a motion to move forward with this contract
Sure.
as submitted.
Move to accept the contract submitted from, I'm sorry, what's the
Good luck
name
with
of
that. Bill,
Yeah, but it's his company's name.
The collaborative, right?
the collaborative.
The collaborative. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Amy? Sega?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Great. Okay, so we can get working on that. Next up is we're going to move back to our agenda. Let's go back here regarding Will Mitchell and 31 Springdale, the enforcement order. It says enforcement order compliance. We've been looking at some non-compliance. Will, why don't you bring us up to date? You've been aware, I assume, that you have not been in compliance with this. You voiced at a previous meeting that you were running into difficulty with surveyors, engineers, and the like. Why don't you fill us in on where things stand here and when we might be able to get some movement on this?
Yeah, so I retained Cheney Engineering, and they finished the the necessary work for us to be able to kind of continue with the restoration. But just honestly, my goal and like my focus and our focus of the last little bit of time has just been kind of obtaining a long-term plan for the project here, both outside and inside, just because costs have just spiraled kind of beyond what we had ever anticipated in a lot of arenas. So we're kind of taking the time here to come up with a more long-term plan that lets us accomplish the conservation goals to the commission satisfaction. And I think with that is obviously the element of expediency has not been there, and I think with some better planning that will be, and kind of muddying that plan. I've been away for 3 months doing some training, and I'm back now, but in the interim, kind of closing out the year, I work in government funded medical research, which if anyone was in the news last year, the government kind of didn't pay their bills. So that's kind of, we're facing the repercussions of that financially. on top of that, like I said, I've been away, and then, out of nowhere, my wife got laid off. So all those circumstances have kind of snowballed into kind of us having to take a good hard look at kind of the future and, some options for us. So that's kind of where my focus has been as of late.
Did you see, what was it that Cheney uh did here? Did they mark out your property lines, or did they come up with anything that you could share with us?
So he's finished the plot plan that overlays Goddard's flagging, and it shows the flagging and the encroachment onto the DLCT property. So that is on the plan. I just need to pay him his balance for that to be released. So that's where it sits.
Okay, doke. And do you know if that showed any on the DLCT side of things, did it show any grade changes or anything of that sort?
I haven't actually seen the plan,
Okay,
so that I wouldn't know.
okay. And so what I'm hearing here is you're funding constrained right at the moment to move forward in terms of even getting Cheney to finish that right at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of shut down on all projects really until we can get a more sustainable, plan together.
And that plan being income related, or what's
Well, which you were approaching, banks about getting financing just for the property as a whole. So that's, again, that's kind of been where my focus has been, and the as I alluded to, the funding constraints of last year, in addition to my wife's employment change, kind of complicates that, right?
So are you saying the government funding that didn't come through the company you worked for, has that did
Yeah, we're
that
self-employed, so it's, I don't have, nearly the amount of income that, we've had in previous years, just because, the universities that we work with, most of them just didn't pay their bills. So there's, a lot of, the good portion of our work is still kind of outstanding in the ethers as it sits.
and that's due to the government not following through on their
Yeah, they can't, they shut down a lot of our projects across the country. And,
Mhm.
some of them were, after the kind of the dust settled, some of them were reinstated. A lot of them just didn't survive the initial cuts.
Mhm. Okay, so Paul, I had a question. It seemed to us maybe a year ago at this point, that it felt like we were close to getting I think Goddard come in with a plan that was a little light on the vegetation, so you wanted to increase the number of plants that were proposed there. Do you recall other things that are uh, yeah, or am I correct in thinking that we were close, or were there other things that were serious relative to potential erosion and things of that nature?
Well, there's some serious issues outstanding that Goddard was tasked with putting together a kind of a global restoration plan. Janet actually included in her notes um, a memo from Mitch Mislanka at Goddard, where when we were out on the site walk with him and Janet, myself. Um, we made a punch list, which I had tasked him with, putting pen to paper and sending that in, which he did do. But one of the big issues out there is that there was an open stream channel that was culverted for a long distance, and that's remains underground, I assume. And that was part of the restoration. There was some short-term concerns about erosion, excuse me, especially on the right as you look at the property from the street.
Mhm.
Um, Again, Janet has some good photos in there.
Hmm.
So there was essentially the punch list was developed by Mitch at Goddard, but to my knowledge, that hasn't moved forward, with the possible exception of some limited erosion control measures.
Mhm. So would you, if we prioritize things, as I'm looking through Janet's pictures, um, it looks like there was a fair amount of fill that was that rolled over onto the bank to the right of the house.
Right.
And Will, was any of that removed, or was there any plantings or anything like that? Was that addressed at all?
No, I
Since
mean, I haven't really addressed anything in the restoration plan other
okay.
than, like Paul mentioned, the
And
control.
does that currently have erosion control up on it?
Yeah, it's got a sock and a fence.
Okay, and then nothing was done after that.
No.
Okay. And that seems so. Of the things that I see in the photos there, Paul, was that the one that seemed most critical, or is there a way to prioritize the things that were outlined in Mitch's report?
In the short term, the area on the right was, in my opinion, the most critical.
Mhm.
But there are a number of other, there's long-term issues. The culvert that went in appeared to be stable. It was not, that was not going anywhere, but it represents a significant violation from what I recall.
Mhm, mhm. And is there, in your experience, um, the I guess that it's I don't know if is it classified as an intermittent stream, or is it, or a drainage ditch that just operates occasionally, or are they two in the same, one in the same, or uh, what's your, what would you like the trench? What would you refer to the trench as?
I mean, I believe it would qualify as an intermittent stream. That was one of the things that, that Goddard was tasked with trying to, to figure that out. Where does it flow to? It does come out of the vegetated wetland, on the right side there. So
Hmm.
as such, a definite channel in the ground would be a stream. Would
Hmm.
certainly intermittent, certainly not perennial.
Hmm. Hmm. And are there occasions where towns might allow a an intermittent stream or drainage, thing to be culverted, or what's, what,
You do have the resource area that you're dealing with is bank, arguably land underwater. But if you think about just as bank, if you look at the performance standards for work in bank, a couple of them are fairly easy to deal with. Talk about stability, water carrying capacity, water quality. The one that would be most problematic in general for culverting a stream channel, is the wildlife habitat, because certainly the culvert doesn't provide any wildlife habitat, on a localized scale and for connectivity. So that was part of what, Mitch from Goddard was tasked with, trying to look at, aerial photos, any other documentation, so that we could all understand what that, from a wetlands permitting perspective, what did that channel look like before?
mhm. And the because I know we dealt with this up in was it Boylan's? I think they had some farm trenches there, 100 years old or so. If anything that has a bank, is it automatically assumed to be part of a wetland, or do you need to show vegetative proof, or
No, a stream is defined as, a definite channel in the ground where water flows due to hydraulic gradient is the first part.
Mhm,
But then the critical distinction is that it must flow within, into, or out of a vegetated wetland.
mhm,
There's a further clarification in there that says that intermittent channels that are only up gradient of vegetated wetland are not streams. So if you think of a hillside scour,
Mhm.
from a drainage structure or something else. You have a hillside scour that leads down to a vegetated wetland. That portion that's only up gradient of the vegetated wetland is not jurisdictional. The
Mhm.
portion that goes through the vegetated wetland and then downstream from it are jurisdictional streams.
Mhm.
So that's really the way to think about it. Does it drain? Is there a definite channel? Water flows to a hydraulic gradient, and then within and from a vegetated wetland.
Mhm. So basically, there's a wetland on the right of the house that appears to be higher than where the pipe ends and issues on to the left of the house, so that uh, so that matter of fact is wetland to wetland, so therefore it qualifies as an intermittent stream.
Right. Assuming all your facts are correct, I believe they are,
Mhm.
but assuming
Mhm.
all your facts are correct, your conclusion is on the money.
Okay, and as such, then culverting is generally not acceptable.
As a general rule, no. The
Okay,
exception would be, one can have, technically speaking, a culvert that connects two wetlands is technically an intermittent stream bank, but obviously that culverted condition doesn't provide habitat. So if you have a, I'll call it a grandfathered culvert, which we have
Mhm.
many of, that is a jurisdictional stream, but one can look at those performance standards for bank and alter that, potentially reroute it, and satisfy those performance standards. Because as I said, the most difficult one typically to satisfy is the wildlife habitat. So if you have a channel that's jurisdictional stream that is vegetated and provides, overhanging vegetation and cover as a corridor and otherwise, then the standard under the regulations is that one can alter up to 10% or 50 feet of the bank found to be significant to wildlife habitat. So if you have a long channel that provides that habitat, it's impossible to meet that 10% 50-foot standard with a lengthy culvert. The
Mhm.
math just doesn't work.
Okay, so I guess there had been maybe 15 feet of a culvert out of the wetland to the right that had existed for who knows. It was but there's clearly the culvert length is greater than the 50 feet. The culvert length currently is greater than 50 feet. So I guess part of this is Will, did you install that culvert yourself?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so the ability to uninstall it seems like that could be handled as well. My only concern there is uh, we'd be hesitant to have you uninstall it without the means to immediately plant it and make it
Yeah.
so that it's not just a mud ditch here. Janet?
So my suggestion, because we now are going to have a new consultant looking at this, that it could be productive for perhaps Paul to meet with Will and Cheney. I do think also we never did a full commission site meeting at the
Mm-hmm.
property. I think that would be worthwhile going forward. But I do want to mention on the west side of the property where there's a perennial stream, I have very significant concerns about the amount of fill that I
Mm-hmm.
saw out there
Mm-hmm.
that was brought in and spread. My guess is it was a foot or maybe even 2 feet. Some of that was in addition to riverfront, some of that was BVW. So,
And was that new fill that since Will
yes,
had okay. Mm-hmm.
yes,
So that makes sense. Then we would want to have Cheney outline what part of that fill is new versus old.
right.
Um,
And also, I'm not sure, Will, if you sent, so Goddard, Goddard made a decent first effort at a
Mhm.
restoration plan. It was dated October 8th, 2024. As a result of that, then Paul, myself met with Mitch and Will on the site And that resulted in this punch list of things, fairly significant things that still needed to be done. But Cheney shouldn't start, back at square one. A lot of work was already done by Goddard.
Yeah, I think all Cheney's doing is just overlaying their flagging onto a scale plan.
Okay, so what needs to be done? We do not have a complete or thorough draft restoration plan. We have a start of one, but we're sort of close. But all the punch list that Mitch outlined in his email, November 6, 24, that was agreed upon with Paul and Mitch out on the site, that's still a significant amount of work in a site plan. We do not have a functioning site plan that's accurate at this point. Goddard gave us some GIS maps. They were significant. I'm sorry, Paul. Yep.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to add, Janet, that was good points you made. When we were out there in October 24, we put out a number of flags to delineate limits of fill and
We
that
did.
sort of thing.
Mhm.
My hope, and Will, maybe you know the answer to this, my hope is that those flags were there still for Cheney to locate.
Yep.
So
Okay.
none of those flags have been disturbed?
No,
Will?
they're all there.
Okay, okay. Um,
And
so,
then just,
go
and
ahead.
then I just want to add a complicating factor is that on that western portion, which abuts DLCT land, there was significant alteration in fill on their land. So there was an encroachment onto that land. And this is similar to our 90 Claybrook Road enforcement where they did alteration on someone else's land. So we will need in a further amended enforcement order and approved restoration plan, they're going to need to do restoration on that property with DLCT's consent. So that's going to be, I think that's very doable because Amy's here representing them, but that's going to have to be factored in. And it was a substantial area of alteration off their property.
Do you know if that that alteration, if that was incorporated, Paul, in terms of the flagging that Goddard did for Phil?
We
Basically to the left of the house.
We did look over there. We flagged the limits of that fill. I remember poking around on it. We flagged the limits of that fill. What we didn't know at the time is precisely where the property line was. So
Mhm.
it was clear that, as Janet said, it was clear that the fill went over the property line, but we didn't have a staked line to really get a good handle on how much.
Okay. So it seems that once Cheney completes their overlay, along with property lines and the flagging there, we'll finally get an idea of where the DLCT property is relative to the fill that's there. Does that make
Right.
sense? Okay. So Will, what's your so I understand there's some major financial constraints currently. Um, and you can't read a crystal ball, but I guess my concern is we don't want to have any further damage to things. And so it would seem the place that would be most significant for that would be to make sure that the erosion control is still properly installed along the east side of the house, I guess it is. That's to the right, or is that the south side? I'm not sure. Basically, the right where the wetland is.
That'd be east.
That's east. Okay. So that would make sense to probably give it another week and then have Janet meet with you just to take a look at the erosion control there. Is that something, Janet? I know we have Paul, but I'm just trying to think of Paul's schedule for something that's relatively minor and the attendant cost there. Is that something that you could do a week or so from now?
Yes, I'll reach out to Will to schedule that.
Okay.
I was going to suggest that, John. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. So
I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
also see Amy's hand up, but I do want to mention that our priority now would be to get all the documentation the commission needs and a draft restoration plan for a final review. I think the commission is willing to work with Will on perhaps a phased-in approach for restoration.
Mhm.
But I think the first step, it's been so long, it's been over 2 years since the original enforcement order, that the goal is to have a approved plan, and then we can work on the implementation with Will.
Mhm. So what I'm hearing from Will is, well, I'd like Will to keep us posted on a regular basis with any change in circumstances. And so that, because it would seem the first thing to do beyond the erosion control updating is to marshal the funds in order to finish Cheney's involvement in this. Does that sound correct, Janet?
Yes,
Mhm.
and I would also encourage a site visit soon, and then we have a firm deadline for submittal of the draft restoration plan.
Mhm. So how my thought is there's still a question. I don't know if as a drainage basin, if I think Janet, you had a concern about that being a vernal pool there. Did you happen, we've had a few years, did you happen to run by it during vernal pool season and get any confirmation on that?
Yeah, I've seen no indicators that that is a vernal pool.
Okay, okay. So it would seem maybe a little later in the month, but before we do that, Amy?
I just wanted to mention there is a septic plan from
Mhm.
about 2014, I think he thought it was, that Stephen Bates has, that shows some of the elevations. So eventually we
Oh,
can compare
okay.
some of that.
Hmm.
There may be more fill that was put in by the previous owner even before the septic, but at least
Hmm.
that's one item that I've forgotten, but the
Hmm.
property that's next to this property that DLCT owns, I've forgotten the year it was given, but it was quite a while ago. So pretty sure there
Hmm.
wasn't any fill at that time. It was
Um,
actually part of the person owned 31 at the time, and they carved off the piece to DLCT because it was so wet and unbuildable and unusable. So
mhm. I think Will, do you know, did you give Cheney a copy of the septic plan?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's what
Mhm.
he based a lot of the benchmarks off of.
it
So that
was
was the
a
JLM plan.
it was a
Mhm.
GLM plan,
Yeah.
yeah.
And part of also just to update commissioners. So Will, at one point we asked him to contact GLM, but this was after GLM had dissolved. And you got, did you ever get a return phone call from Rob Truax there?
I did, and I went back and forth with him for a little bit, but it sounded like he had some sort of family emergency that kind of took him
Oh, okay. I remember you mentioned that. Yeah.
took him out
So
of commission for a little bit.
okay, so let's see what we can find with that. I know that I'd looked at Google Earth, the what appeared to be a fill line seems to have been there for at least 20 years, but I have no idea when GLCT got that. So anyway,
I can look it up if you want.
we'll review that, but right at the moment, first thing would be for Janet to contact you, Will, over, and set up a site visit for reviewing your erosion control.
Yeah,
And
Janet,
then,
if it's helpful, I could try to have the Cheney plan. So if you can give me like a week or so, because I haven't talked to Artie since the fall, just to see I assume he just needs to deliver it to me.
Yeah, but we are looking for more than just a site plan from
Yeah,
your
I
next.
just figured that'd be helpful for you.
Okay.
and
I don't
if the
think we
site,
need that. I don't think I would need
Okay.
that. Yeah.
All right, that's
yeah,
fine.
the main thing, Will, is we although I mentioned giving it at least a week before we get out there, just because there's still snow on the ground. Let's get the snow out of there so that we can so Janet can see what's going on with the bank to the pond there and the erosion control there. So the why don't we take it in those steps then would be that Janet meets you out there for erosion control, that you get a copy of the Cheney plan that you can submit to the board. And then the question is when a site visit would be appropriate. Obviously snow free. So I think that would be something we would deal with in early April. Amy?
1989 is when we
Mhm.
were given
So
that land.
yeah, so by the time you get back there, the photos start to get a little blurry, so it's tough to tell.
Yeah, no, I understand
Yeah.
that. I was just
Yeah, no, I
trying to give
appreciate
you
it.
the information because I knew it was a long time ago.
Okay, so Will, why don't you work with Cheney to get that plan as soon as possible? Prior to that, most likely, is meet with Janet relative to erosion control when the snow is gone. And then I think we may have an update by our next meeting. And then then we can determine time for a site walk, or whether we have the information we want for a site walk. And then any additional updates that change in circumstances and the like, if you can contact the office, please, and let us know.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Paul, anything that you'd like to add?
No, I think I think that's really the plan. The existing conditions will form the basis of the restoration plan going forward, and the short-term issue of erosion control, which Janet's going to look into.
Okay. And we are forbearing, given your the change in financial circumstances. I think it's been conveyed before that we're very close to finding you, but we're willing to work with you on this, and let's see if we can get some progress going on this.
Mhm.
Okay, then any other questions concerning this? Any comments? Okay, thank you, Will, for appearing. Thanks, Paul, as well. And we'll set things up with Janet for the erosion control, please. Okay?
Thanks.
Okay. Have a good evening. Okey doke. Okey doke. So we got our land management. Is there any additional information on land management work group update beyond the contract?
No, we are planning some work days once spring is here, and then a bog bridge project, but Anna will bring that forward.
Okay. And do you know what we have for so we're setting aside $24,000 from this year's budget regarding our land management and property review there. Do we have any funds left over for work in this fiscal year?
Yeah, let me just grab that file.
Thanks.
John, if you're done with me, I'm going to cut out.
Great. Any questions for Paul from anyone?
Nope. How you doing?
Yeah,
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
It looks snowy in your backyard.
I
It
know.
was. It was from a little while ago. Too long.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Paul, as usual.
Thank you. Good night.
Appreciate it. Night.
The document that was sent out for the last meeting that included this new land use framework project. In the FY26, we have 5,000 earmarked for benches, bog bridges, and other trail improvements, and then 5,000 earmarked for any spring maintenance, although we do very little spring maintenance on our properties, but we do have a 5,000 earmarked in case we need that.
So that's 10,000 plus the 24.
That's right.
That gives us 35. And which is what our overall budget is, or are we up at
40. Our overall budget is 40.
Okay, so then we spent approximately 5 on fall mowing and things of that nature.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure we had enough to cover there. Let's see. Anyone have any other questions concerning land management? Okay, and Janet, does that cover what you have for this evening for land management?
Yes, I'll also just at this point indicate that at our next meeting, a representative from the trustees is going to be coming. Kate Conlon had reached out. They have received a technical grant from Mass Rivers Alliance to do a study of dams at Noennet Woodlands, so they can better understand the impact on water flow and ecology. So they would like, I think I don't know if it was a requirement, but they would like to do a presentation and ask for our support. And I think we can do that in a general way. We will obviously be permitting any kind of dam project that they would come up with. But I think as a concept, we would support that. Generally, dams are not good for wetlands or ecology. So
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that come through, and I wonder the balance between historical artifacts versus ecology. We'll address that when it comes up. I was thinking, obviously, at the water wheel dam at the main pond there. But we'll see what we come up with. Okay, the warrant article for the appropriation of the conservation fund. I don't recall reading that. Jenny, where was what's that
that
include?
that is on the first page of my regulatory review report. It's very short.
Okay. Okay.
So this is actually, so you already approved the warrant article, and this is the actual motion language that would be voted on. So it's short and sweet.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. So yeah, very short. Okay. So that the town raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 for the Conservation Fund to be used by the Conservation Commission for any purpose authorized by Chapter 40, Section 8C of the Massachusetts General Laws. It's the same one that we've always used. So I'll entertain a motion for to accept that wording.
Sure, so moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Amy? Sega?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Deb ran a report from accounting. We have $127,000 in that fund currently. So this would bring us up over 150. And I don't know if we've heard of anything coming, up to the market, but given the price of land and so forth, little by little, it will come in handy one of these days. Anybody have any comments on that? Okay. Great. Let's see. Next, the minutes of January 8th. Actually, interesting. So, Deb, we have December of 2025, January 8th of 2025, and then we go to more current ones.
Yeah.
After January 8th of 2025, have we caught up any of those?
The 8th did not have video associated with it, so that was a little difficult. But the one that I did for February, the rough draft, did have video, and a couple of others did too. So with those in early 25, it was a little bit hit or miss, but for the most part, say half until we get to August when I started doing them, and we have all of those.
Okay, so then we have some for basically February through July that you'll still be working on.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So did folks have a chance to review any of these with Janet's comments?
Yeah, just briefly.
And anything stand out to anybody?
Nope.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes for as annotated. Janet, did you annotate all of these?
Yes.
Okay. To accept the minutes as annotated for January 8th, 2025. Actually, can we do all these together? Yeah. So December 17th, 2025, February 11th, 2026, and February 25th, 2026.
So John, I did not get to 2025, 26. So we just have 3 sets to approve.
Oh, okay, so not 225. So
Right.
2/11/26, 12/17/25, and January 8th, 2025.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor?
Second, sorry, second.
Thank you. No, you're right on the Zega,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and I'm an aye.
And if we
Okay.
can just note for the record, those are approved with my amendments.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I mentioned as annotated.
Okay.
So, okay, then we're at Conservation Agents Report.
Okay, nothing new under updates, active permits, although we have gone through a period where we have not had any filings, so we've been lucky, but I think that will change fairly soon with the weather. Let's see, I did send you out a draft letter of support for the Charles River Watershed Climate Compact, which we are a part of. They have done a series of regional flood mitigation projects, assessing adequacy of current flood elevations, also looking at culverts and areas particularly that affect regional connections and flooding issues. So they've applied for an MVP grant. They are just looking for a letter of support from us, no cost to the town. I probably spend about 5 to 7 hours a month on the Climate Compact work. If anyone's interested in attending meetings, they're really interesting to hear from other towns what their concerns are and what they're doing about particularly flooding. I think between Dover and Needham, those 2 towns have the most actual frontage on the Charles River throughout the entire watershed, except for Cambridge and Boston. So Amy sent me some small edits, but it doesn't change the substance of the letter. So I don't know if there are any questions. It would be nice to have a vote so we can support the project.
Okay, with those edits?
Yes.
Okay. I read the initial one. I didn't see the edits, but I will take your advice on that. Any comments from commissioners?
Nope.
Okay, entertain a motion to approve the letter of support for the Watershed Climate Compact.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Zega,
Aye.
I'm an aye. Okay, and then housing development.
So you might recall 2 town meetings ago, town meeting approved 100,000 for a housing development roadmap to help the town reach its 40B affordable housing threshold, and also how to work with developers on 40B projects, making them more friendly and collaborative. So the first kickoff of this meeting is going to be on Tuesday, March 31st at 7. It's going to be remote, but I think you'll find it very interesting. And you think, oh, housing, that's not one of our issues. But the areas where we are most vulnerable to a 40B is basically our open space areas and our areas that are very fragile with wetlands. So I look at housing as a housing and open space issue. And so I don't think it's going to be too long, but it's going to be interactive. So if you can, please put that on your calendars. And then the last item is our Earth Day cleanup on April 25th. Anna and Zaga had indicated they would be willing to organize. So I will forward both of you the contact person at Charles River. And it might make sense, and I'd be willing to meet you out at the site too, just to get a sense of what we might need to do out there. So I don't know if anyone's.
You're talking about doing it at Bridge Street Boat
That's right.
Landing?
That's right. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. Yes.
If you send me the information, I can put a Eventbrite together and put it on the open space walks
Okay,
election.
that would be great.
Mhm.
But you
Okay,
need
so
to send me
all the details.
all
Yeah.
the details that you want in the event, right?
Okay.
Right,
And
that's good.
pictures.
Okay. Okay, so I will coordinate that more with Anna and Zaga.
Mhm.
And then the last is the Mass Land Conference is this weekend, and I think Amy's going.
It's on Friday. It's not in the weekend, unfortunately.
Oh, it's on the 13th. That's right, Friday the
Right.
13th.
It's on Friday and it starts at 8 or
Mm-hmm.
8:30 in the morning. So I'm going there tomorrow afternoon, staying over the lovely UMass Hotel.
It's amazing it's still standing. And anyone else? Okay, well, fill us in, and thank you much. Just a
Not
quick
going to be
thing.
there for the Concom. I can tell you that.
Just a quick
Sorry.
thing. Does anyone know the dates? We're offering this the letter up, the request for the $25,000 for our fund. When is the public hearing on that? Does anyone know?
It was Monday.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So, but is there another one
Yeah,
coming up?
it's the town meeting's May 5th or 4th, Monday, right?
The
Right.
open hearing was Monday and
Monday.
that's
But the
done.
town meeting is,
Right. So there's a town meeting, but the open hearing already came and went.
yes.
And did you sit in on that, Amy?
Yeah, nobody talked about it. Nobody raised any questions. There were hardly any
Okay.
people there except the people who were presenting. So
That's because we're not buying
maybe it's a
fire
good
engines.
thing to have it so early because nobody
Right.
was ready for it.
So, okay. Well, we did a lot of work getting ready for that, in the last few months, but good. Great. Any questions, comments, anything anybody wants to add?
Yeah.
I was going through old emails. So I guess the Mass Housing approved the was it
43
Strawberry Hill?
Strawberry Hill.
Yeah. And so I don't know where we stand relative to that. We'll see when they'll have to they'll have to present to us anyway, and we still have the issues regarding the fill that we had noted.
Well,
when
they don't have a wetlands delineation yet.
Wasn't that part of the ANRAD that was done a number of years ago?
Yeah, but the ANRAD's long gone.
Oh, no, I understand. So I'm just, reiterating.
They have to
that
do another one,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, okay. Anyone else have anything to offer?
No, I thought it was.
So
I thought it was cute that the whoever from the Old Farm Water Trust guy thought that his thing was so much more complicated than what we usually get. We don't get any simple ones anymore.
No, and it actually wasn't that complicated.
No, it wasn't. It was just
So
there was this one big hang up, but
yeah, they blew it up, but no, it wasn't that complicated.
no,
But
no.
but as Janet mentioned, for any of the housing stuff coming up, because we made the point to Warren Committee and to the selectmen that things that are everything is more complicated when it comes to housing at this point, and we'll have our hands full as we move forward trying to implement some of these things. So great. So we're before I adjourn, I want to point out we're at 8:40. So if people can use this as a recruiting tool for people, yeah.
New world record.
And it's an hour. It's no big deal. Would be very helpful.
John, I just
yeah.
have one more comment. So our agenda is going to be very light for the next meeting, just that trustees presentation. So if anyone else has anything burning or something that's on their radar that they'd like us to talk about, let me know. This would be a good meeting. Otherwise, it'll be a very short meeting.
So our next meeting is the 25th?
That's right. We have no new filings.
Okay. And then we have interesting. And then the following one will be the 8th. Do we know?
Yes.
Okay. And I hopefully have a light one on that too, because I may not be available for that one. So that's my.
It seems to me we had some encroachment issues that we had talked about on Hunt Drive, I think.
Oh, right.
that maybe
Mhm.
we want to revisit. So if anything comes to your mind that you want on the agenda that maybe we've had to put on the back burner, just let me know.
Mm-hmm. I wonder, given something like that, where we couldn't really, we're bouncing back and forth on the shed that was there in the front and things like that, whether as opposed to bounding something, maybe get something relative to our land management plan coming up is to look at uh, uh, lot line measurements and memorializing them so that we can see if we have encroachment, as part of our plan going forward. And so that we can budget for that. And if we can get a few of these properties together, maybe get a reasonable price from a surveyor. So just a thought. Any other thoughts? Well, hearing no objections, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the rest. I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of the night.
Have a
Hearing no
great-
objections, tonight's meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.